Hello beautiful people, welcome to my YouTube channel about somatic embodiment. My name is Eva Kolarova and today I feel very inspired to share my story with you. Not the whole story, but something which is very important to me, and I also want to share why am I so passionate about what I do, somatic embodiment and trauma healing through body up approach. So I just came out from 4-day retreat with Gabor Mate. I so love this person, admire him for all the work he did in his life and how he's dedicated to help others, and his work is so profound. And in this retreat actually the trauma work was combined with somatic healing and somatic exercise, which were led by Betsy Polatin, also somebody who I value a lot and admire a lot. So what I came to is a big realization, and I came to this realization in the past few years. So dance for me saved my life. What do I mean by that? I was a professional dancer from the age of 6 until 28 or almost 31, it depends, but really professionally dancing I was until my 30th. I was performing and dancing all the time, moving my body. I started with the classical dance, and then I went into more contemporary dance and sort of combine these two, and then I really stick into contemporary dance because I felt more free to express myself. It was a medium where I felt I can just be myself. I didn't need the language to express what was going on inside of me. And that was very liberating. So I didn't really understood why did dance save my life. So my childhood was very traumatic, and until maybe 5 years ago I wouldn't even say about myself that I have any trauma. It was something I would be deeply ashamed of, and I felt like I'm very normal, quote unquote, and that I don't have any issues, and trauma is something crazy. It's something which I don't have. And then kind of the story, I don't want to go in my story in this video, maybe another time, but basically as I was dancing my body was giving me signals. So first, I think when I was 21 or 22 I had a complete burnout, and then from the age of 25 my body just didn't want to collaborate with me anymore, and I had all these phantom pains in my body. I didn't really had some big injuries like other dancers, like twist meniscus or teared tendons, even though I almost did tear one of my tendon. But I didn't had big injuries, but my body start to just be painful, and I had these pains going around my body, and I couldn't really understood from where and why, and it was really frustrating because it was literally stopping me from dancing without pain, just free dancing. I always had to ice my legs after a day in the studio, and I had to do a lot of physiotherapy, and even when I was not dancing the pain sometimes was there from just no reasons. So I think around the age 25 because I was all about this big movements and going to work out and doing crazy exercise and stretching crazy, and I was just really maximalist, and I almost would say that I was using dance as a sport. I wanted to be the best. I was pushing my limits, and it was all about performance. But still, I love dancing. I love to be on stage. I loved expressing my emotions through movement. So sometimes I would also just be in a studio where everybody left and I put music on and I was just dancing for myself, just to move the feelings I was feeling. And all that was very intuitive. I didn't do that because somebody told me to do that. And so when all this pain started, somebody suggested me I should maybe look into yoga. So I did start doing yoga, which for me was super slow and almost boring at the beginning. But then I realized that there is a different quality in moving very slow, and there is this more alignment, which is not, in dance everything is open, the hips are open, but in yoga it's all about alignment and parallel, and it's way more aligned with the anatomy of the body. And also the yoga asanas are designed for certain energetic release and activation and rebalancing the chakras, etc., etc. So at the beginning when I started doing yoga, I didn't really understood yoga. I was doing it because it was exercise again. But then something in me was like, okay, this is nice, I like it, this is a different quality of movement. And I went to India to become a yoga teacher. So I did a yoga teacher training in India, in a beautiful ashram in the south of India, in Kerala, close to Mysore. And I was very lucky to have an amazing teacher. And I really learned something completely different. So I was there, I think, 6 weeks. And in the 6 weeks, I became aware that yoga is not at all about why and what I was doing it when I was in Canada, but it was liberating because it was all about being present with the breath and being extremely slow and feel everything, and then opening up certain blockages. So I remember in India I was crying all the time. I didn't know why, but there was a lot of releases happening, and also being very happy. I had this pure joy, sometimes just walking on the field and feeling super bliss and just dancing on the field with the cows, and so something there also shifted in me, because there was also the philosophy of yoga involved in the afternoons with our Swami, and I understood that until that point in my life I was so goal oriented. I always wanted to achieve something, and when I achieved it I wasn't even able to enjoy it, because once I achieved it, I was already looking what's next and what's my next goal. And so I was just running. I was just running and running and running. And now with the understanding of trauma, yes, I was flying away. I was running away. Flight, right? So flying away from my trauma with all my career. And in India, I had these moments of absolute peace I never experienced in my life. And I had this deep yearning for it. And I realized that, oh my God, this is a quality in life that I'm missing. And this is way more what I want to look for than the achievements, the applause on the stage, and just this competition and pushing my limits pushing my limits to be the best, etc., etc. It was so draining, and there was not actually that much joy, or the joy was very short, and it didn't last long, and there was not so much peace in my life. So beautiful sun is coming in. This is just a sunset right now happening behind me, so beautiful. So to continue my story, I touched something in India which I've been then looking for in the different mediums, and I also really became aware that there is more to this life than just running to achieve goals and to be on the go, as the society wants us to work and go and buy and always forward and etc. So coming out of India, also in India I met this girl, and you know, I already start at that moment, I start questioning certain things about why is my body giving me the signals of this phantom pain, and I had these weird states of sadness sometimes which would just take over me and I wouldn't be able to come out of them. But because I was still so oriented towards my career, I always went to the studio and just distracted myself with dance. And so when I came back from India, I met there a girl, and she for the first time told me in my life about ayahuasca. And she just simply said, do you know about the wisdom of plants? And I told her, what do you mean by wisdom of plants? Yes, I know that, you know, we can use plants for different healings, like make a tea and inflammation and so on. And she told me, no, plants can talk to you. Plants are wise and they can teach us. And then she talked to me about ayahuasca. And so then I went back to Canada and I did my research. And again, so much more happened during this time. But eventually I flew to South Korea, where I was teaching dance at that time. And then I really did save up money and I went to Peru and did my first ayahuasca retreat. I also used San Pedro, and I had this incredible realization about myself and my past. And without really understanding at that time, ayahuasca brought up a lot of this inside stuff out. And then the next whole year after the ayahuasca, I was just integrating. So it was like the dust was slowly sitting down and kind of falling away from me. So that took some time for me to integrate that experience. And what I was gonna say is, I believe in our life everything happens in a way when we are ready for it. And there's different ways we can take. There's different ways which leads to this, maybe to the same destiny. And so I could see that the universe was bringing me these different approaches. And then at that time also I came across Vipassana after my ayahuasca retreat. That was like a year later. And I went to Vipassana, and again I realized that my biggest fear, because I was dancing my whole life, always in the movement, always on the go, always in the motion, my biggest fear was to be still, to actually sit and do nothing, and just sit with what's going on inside of me. Hold on guys, I'm just gonna move the camera because you might not see me that well because of the sun. Okay. Okay, I think this is a bit better with the sun. So let me continue. After Vipassana, I had the first, you know, it's 10, so for those who doesn't know, Vipassana is a 10-day silent meditation course. You don't pay, it's all by donation. It's funded by Goenka. And I highly suggest it to everyone who has difficulty to meditate and is interested in meditation and would like to learn more about meditation, because in these 10 days I feel like I actually understood what meditation is, and it extremely helped my practice afterwards. So Vipassana helped me to integrate even more of the things, and I could see more of the stuff, and I start to understand that there is something in me which isn't really right, that there's a lot of shadows which hasn't come out. There's a lot of pain, a lot of things that I suppressed, and I was distracting myself. But going back to the point about dancing, so now with my knowledge about trauma, I understand that, you know, as a child, you are not equipped to deal with trauma that I went through. It's almost unbearable. So if I would start dealing with that trauma, or I would not have this medium which was dance, meaning to use my body to move all the energy that I felt, like some of it of course I couldn't dealt with, so I kind of ran away from it, I distracted myself. But at that time it was healthy for me, because again I was young and I didn't had the strength to deal with all the pain I went through, all the things which happened to me. And so having dance was actually allowing my body to not store as much of this toxic energy, as much of this freeze, as much of this sadness. Like I was still able to move, let's say 50% of it. And I really went through some very dark things in my childhood, which now I know that if maybe I would not have this dance, I would have probably ended up under bridge, maybe taking drugs, and or maybe even suicide. You know, I do remember I had some suicidal thoughts when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, and so I don't even want to think about what would have happened, but I know it would not be a good thing. And so I'm very grateful to dance, that dance came into my life, because my body was able to move that, to express that, which was going on, even though I needed also later on in my 30s, I start to also going there consciously, right? I start to consciously building the awareness of and the knowledge of what did I went through, what is this trauma did to me, and what I can do. And in that way also I realized that yes, dance helped me extremely, but also at some point it was a distraction, and also I actually was really pushing myself to not feel, because I was so hurt. So I was doing a lot of extreme things, which they were not the healthiest thing to do. And so I also know that you know, I did burn myself out, and I really did I was mean to my body. Actually, I was mean to myself in the way how I treated myself in a dance studio, and also with the eating habits, because that all goes together with the dance career, and the way how I was looking at my body. So all that I had to heal, you know, I had to go through that and to change my relationship to dance completely. So in the last maybe five years, I came to a realization that first I had to stop dancing. I had to really reject it. And then I had to slowly come back to it with completely a different approach. So with the realization that it is something I love to do, it is something supernatural for me, it is something which healed me enormously, but it stopped functioning at some point and it was almost not beneficial anymore. And now how I can use movement and dance again to continue my healing and to share this gift with others, but not in the performative way, not in this performance contemporary dancer on stage in the studio. You know, I completely changed the relationship, and now when I dance, it comes from the inside. It's almost like I'm not imposing it on me. I'm not going to do this because I have it on my agenda. And no, I do it more intuitively. In the moment I feel like dancing, okay, I go dance, and then now I feel like choreographing, now I feel like expressing this, now I feel like just doing somatic movement exercises to align my spine, to release my breath, to realign my nervous system, to come down, to be present. So movement became so much more gentle for me and so much more subtle. It's all about these very subtle things which I wasn't even aware of before as a dancer, like how does the skin feels under under my cheeks, and how do I tense the neck when I move, and what's going on in the rest of my spine, and why do I hold my belly all the time, you know. And also all this deconditioning from also being a professional dancer, because there's a lot of faux pas, a lot of things like you have to keep your belly in, tucked in, and pelvis tucked in, and your back straight up, and shoulders back, and it's all this this aesthetic rules which actually are not serving us in the way how we should move the body, anatomically speaking. And so also all this deconditioning helped me to become even more attuned with my body and with myself. And so after Vipassana, I then still experiment more with going to Peru, going to Guatemala, Mexico, did other psychedelics. And I think psychedelics and plant medicine has a big role in the healing, at least for me. This is very personal for me. I don't think it's for everybody. I think that we all, as I said before, we all have different paths in our life. And so plant medicine, I think it has to call us, and then we have to be able to integrate it and be ready for it. And it can be quite tricky, but in my personal life it helped me enormously, and I love plant medicine. But I also think that it's super important, the integration process afterwards. So there is not that many centers that they facilitate after, you know, that they really take care of the people after and help them integrate. There is becoming like people specializing in after plant medicine or psychedelic integration, and also Gabor Mate works with psychedelic and plant medicine, and I think it's amazing. So, but after all this experience, I also came across triple vagal method. So that's something which is purely a somatic method working with the nervous system. Because even though I was in the jungle, I became very aware that I'm in a constant freeze or flight. I'm not really a fight, but I'm in a freeze or really in a flight. And in the past, in certain areas, I was also disassociated. So there was area in my body I was not connected at all. So that was all a process of healing for me, which is very beautiful process, but also very difficult process. But I believe that it is my journey, and there is under the course there is the blessing. So I'm looking for the gift, what's beneath. And that's why I'm now doing this work. I work with people, I help them to get in touch with their body, and through the body work on the trauma. Because when I look at my healing journey, there was not so much talk therapy. Like, yes, I did had some therapies when the talking was involved. It was important, I think, also to become aware and say my story and share and go into it through the mind. But what was more important was to become aware, and then being able with this awareness to really stay with this child inside of me, which is very wounded, and it comes out, and the only person who can take care of this child is me. So trauma I became fascinated by this topic, because I realized how many of us went through traumatic experiences, how many of us carries trauma. And I do believe this is the way how we move on as a humanity, is to really look at our trauma and heal that. And you know, there is the personal trauma, but there is also collective trauma, there is multi-generational trauma. And I do see around me, and I'm very happy about that, that more and more people are becoming aware of trauma and trauma healing, and there is more and more available, more and more tools available. And so back to my work. So triple vagal method basically is a method where I work with the vagus nerve. So I also went really into learning anatomy. I was a massage therapist also at one point. So I realized touch, you know, for me touch is a healing medium, and doesn't have to be a touch of somebody else, but my own touch, and touch to receive touch. And with the touch also breath and voice work, working with the voice. And voice work is directly connected with the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is responsible for our parasympathetic, or it helps us to be in our parasympathetic nervous system. So it's to come out from this fight, flight, freeze sympathetic nervous system, which is the survival, which is often the time where we are stuck because of our trauma. And working with the vagus nerve, it's all about working with the body. And I do believe that if there's anything you can trust yourself, it's your body. If there's anything true, it's how your body feels right now. Your body will tell you exactly how you're doing if you pay attention, and if you develop this felt sense. So if you connect back to your body, because we, as a society, we are so in our heads, we are so disconnected from our body. And again, it is not about going to the gym and doing exercises. It's a very different way of feeling the body. And it's this somatic movement, it's this somatic approach, embodiment, meaning coming back into my body, creating a relationship with myself through the body. And through the body we can learn so much about what's going on inside of us and work on that energetically. Because in the end, the body keeps the score, the body remembers everything that you went through in your life. And that's insane, because it keeps the memory. And so when you look at there, when we are able to stay with this area of our body which speaks to us, and we are able to approach it with this kindness, this self-compassion, and really hold that part and listen, we will be able to move things. Like, imagine that when the trauma happened in your life, you stuck. There's something, it's like that event is imprinted in you, and it's also almost like there's no motion in the body, what happened in that moment. And again, it can be quite different, but it's this stuckness, it's this freeze, or it's this glitch in the nervous system. And we can consciously start just becoming aware of, in that area, is there any little space I can maybe I can breathe a little bit more. Okay, let's follow that. So gently bring movement into this memory, you know, of this stuck thing of the trauma. And with the nervous system, like with doing this somatic practices and working with the vagus nerve, so I mentioned again, through the voice, through the breath, but also through the touch. There are literally points on the body that I teach people to stimulate, and then there's movements which activates and help us to build vagal tone, activates the vagus nerve. So with that work, we are able to be in the right state, to be looking at the child inside of us. So we are able to have a little bit of a distance, meaning we are, when the emotion comes and it's very strong and overwhelming, and the nervous system is already like somewhere here, it just the emotion takes it and it explodes, and it goes somewhere where we don't want. So where our nervous system is resilient enough and we are regulated enough, we're able then to start working on our trauma in I believe from a better position where there is more centeredness and there's the ability to observe without going with it, right? So just witness and then be compassionate about this this feeling, because it's this child which had that experience when it was innocent and the child couldn't do anything, and so it is real for the adult, for us it is real what we experiencing, but at the same time it is not us, it is not us. We are adults and we are safe at the in our lives where we are, but the things comes back, right? The triggers, whatever the triggers are, the pain body, the trauma comes up if we don't pay attention, and often the times we are not even aware. So it's just, it takes us, smashes us, and we're suffering. And so for me, I love doing this work, and my story continues. I keep learning as I go. I keep learning as I work with other people, and I still learn also so much about myself. And with this work I do, I know that sometimes I have these days when I have to go back and again sit with the child and go back to regulate my nervous system, and sometimes I just need to dance and I need to express what I'm feeling. I need to use my voice to move things. I need to learn how to say no, and so on and so on. So I believe this work continues maybe until the end of my life, but I do see the progress. And going back to the point, and the main point of my story is that movement and dance is essential, I believe. And going back to the body, building the relationship with the body, and being able to feel oneself is what is the most important for me. And so I wanted to share that, and I thank you so much for being part of my YouTube channel, for following my work. I will be posting more and more videos because I have so much more to share, and I'm still learning, and it's a beautiful journey. So thank you so much for your support, for watching me, and for liking this video, for subscribing. Also check out my website. You can also contact me if you're interested more to work with me, especially when it comes to the nervous system or the self-expression through movement, for somatic movement, also dance therapy, etc. But what I really love to do, and it works really beautifully online, is the method I developed to work with the vagus nerve, which is accessible to absolutely everybody, and it's the first step for me to take on our journey to healing. So when I look back where I started in India, I actually wasn't so conscious about because there is a lot of pranayama, a lot of mantras, a lot of throat humming exercises. It works with the vagus nerve, and I also did some Ayurvedic healing when the oil drops, and it's all resetting the nervous system. So in India, for the first time, now with my understanding, I realized that I was able to drop into a state I've never experienced in my life, which means being in the parasympathetic nervous system, in the rest and digest state, where my body just started to regenerate. I felt so energetic. I felt like things were new, becoming new. And so you don't have to go to India, you don't have to do yoga and bunch of pranayamas and mantras, and it's a lot to do that. That takes hours in a day, but you can develop 30 to 40 to 1 hour routine, even 15 minutes routine, where I can guide you to learn certain exercises to just bring you down bring to self-regulate yourself, to self-regulate the nervous system, to become more present. And that, if you do every day, it will bring an incredible results, and things will just start to flow and come, and you start unravel, start take out the onion peels, you know, or from the other side, from the outside in, back to ourselves, because this is us, the core of the onion, and all around is the patterns, is the programs, is the trauma, is all that we are not. So we need to peel that away, to go back into the core of who we are. So with these words, I thank you for watching me, and I see you in the next video.